After my stroke, I couldn't speak clearly. My daughter-in-law started correcting me in front of the grandkids. "Grandpa's broken," she'd say. They laughed. I saw my son flinch, but he said nothing. One morning, I heard her tell the kids, "If he dies soon, we get the house." I pretended to be asleep. But later that night, I opened my safe and I'm a 72-year-old man living in Dayton, Ohio. I had a stroke 9 months ago. Took a lot from me. My balance is off, I need help walking, and my speech, well, that's the worst part. I used to be a teacher. I stood in front of kids for decades, talking loud and clear, telling stories, teaching history. I was good at it. I was proud of it. Now I struggle just to say a sentence. After the stroke, I stayed in rehab for 6 weeks. My son, Mark, and his wife, Danny, visited a few times. They brought the kids once. It was nice seeing them even if I was too tired to talk. Once I got home, things changed fast. Mark said they wanted to move in to help. They sold their townhouse in Beaver Creek and moved into my place with their 2 kids, Josh, 7, and Ellie, 4. At first, I thought it made sense. I was still weak, couldn't drive, needed help with food and getting to therapy. I was grateful. I didn't know what was coming. The first week was fine. Danny cooked. Mark helped me get dressed and walked me to the car for appointments. I started to feel like maybe we were turning a corner. Then one night at dinner, Josh asked about a scar on my arm. "It's from an old fishing trip I took years ago." I tried to tell him the story, but the word hook wouldn't come out. I stuttered. My mouth locked up. Danny laughed. Loud. "Oh boy," she said. "Looks like Grandpa's buffering again." The kids laughed. Mark looked down at his plate. That moment stuck in my gut. I felt like a ghost in my own house. Over the next few weeks, Danny kept doing it. Whenever I tried to talk, she'd interrupt. "Oh, you mean milk? Got it, we speak Grandpa here," she'd say, smirking. Sometimes she'd mimic the way I slurred, right in front of the kids. One morning, I tried to say newspaper and she said, he's trying. That's cute. The worst part? The kids started repeating her. Ellie once turned to me and said, "You're broken, Grandpa." I saw Mark's face. He looked like he wanted to say something. But he didn't. He never did. I still tried to stay polite. I thanked them for meals. I left the TV off so I wouldn't bother them. I sat in the back sunroom most days and read old newspapers, circling words I struggled with. But then came the morning I'll never forget. I was on the couch. I dozed off, or at least I pretended to. The kids were playing in the next room. Danny was in the kitchen, putting dishes away. I heard her say, loud and clear, "If he dies soon, we get the house. Right?" That's what Daddy said. He put our name on the deed. So if Grandpa croaks, it's ours. Then she laughed, like it was a joke. And Josh asked, "So if he dies, we can have a trampoline?" She laughed again. I stayed still, didn't move. My eyes were closed. But inside, I was wide awake. Something changed in me that day. That night, after they all went to bed, I went into my bedroom and opened the floor safe. Keep a lot in there. My old will, my wife's letters, documents, the original deed to the house, and a flash drive with every major paper I've ever filed. I opened the will and read it slowly. It was the version I made right after my wife, Marlene, died. Everything was left to Mark. He was my only child. It made sense back then. Now it didn't. I stared at the paper for a long time. Then I picked up the phone and called my lawyer, Tom Gallner. It took 3 tries to say what I needed. But he understood. "I'll come by tomorrow," he said. Tom showed up the next day with a thick folder. We sat at the dining room table while Danny took the kids to the park. Mark was at work. It took 2 hours to explain everything. My words are slow, but Tom listened carefully. I told him what Danny said. I told him how they mock me. I told him about the look in Mark's eyes every time, but how he never stepped in. Tom said we could change the will. At conditions. Remove people. We rewrote everything. A few days later, I called my niece Rachel. She's a nurse in Columbus. She's always been good to me. I asked if she'd ever consider moving to Dayton. Help out around the house. Live rent-free. I told her I'd give her a small stipend for groceries and care. She didn't even hesitate. "Of course," she said. "Uncle Rog, you helped me through school. I'd be glad to help you now." I told Mark the next day that I needed a quieter home. I told him, "Too loud? Need peace." He looked hurt. But he didn't fight me. He just nodded and said okay. Danny, though, was furious. "You're kicking us out," she shouted. "After everything we've done for you?" I didn't say anything. "You're going to rot in this house alone," she said. They left a week later. Rachel moved in the next weekend. She cleaned the fridge, painted the hallway, and stocked the bathroom with fresh towels. She told me, "We'll get your speech better. One word at a time." She helps me every day. Never once mocked me. Never once rolled her eyes. She respects me. Then one Sunday, Mark came by. Alone. He sat down across from me on the porch. His hands were shaking a little. "Dad," he said, "did you change the will?" I didn't answer right away. He looked down, then said, "Danny told me you did." I nodded slowly. "You gave it to Rachel?" I shook my head. "Not all," I said. "But you no longer full owner." He looked like I'd punched him in the gut. "You're punishing me for what she said," he whispered. I stared at him for a long time. "No," I said. "I'm punishing silence." He didn't say another word. He got in his car and left. Mark didn't come around for a while after that porch talk. 2 weeks went by. Then 3. No texts. No calls. No birthday card on the day Marlene and I used to celebrate our anniversary, which he never forgot before. Rachel noticed, but she didn't say anything. Just made more soup, kept the house clean, and helped me with my speech. She was steady, strong. Exactly what I needed. Then the letter came. It was postmarked from Beaver Creek. No return address, but I recognized Danny's handwriting. Inside was a single piece of paper with bold black text, typed out, "We're taking legal action. Mark deserves his share. You're being manipulated by that niece of yours. You're not mentally stable. The kids missed their home. Consider this your warning." No, dear Dad. No signature. Just that. Rachel found me sitting at the table with the letter in my hands. She didn't ask to read it. I handed it to her myself. She read it once, then looked at me with fire in her eyes. "They're trying to scare you," she said. "But they don't know who they're dealing with." I managed a smile. "Call Tom," I said. Tom came the next day with thick folders and a list of steps to protect my wishes. We put things in writing. Set up a medical directive. Got letters from both my doctor and my speech therapist confirming I was mentally sound. I wasn't confused. I wasn't weak. Just slow to speak. We also added a clause to the will: if anyone challenges it in court, they get nothing. Tom called it a no-contest clause. Said it would scare off anyone trying to pressure me. I nodded. Good. But Danny wasn't done. She showed up. Uninvited. On a Thursday. Rachel was out grocery shopping. I was in the sunroom reading. Danny let herself in with the spare key. I didn't hear her at first. Then suddenly she was standing in front of me, arms crossed. "You know, this house is full of ghosts," she said. "Your wife's gone. Your son's gone. What do you even have left?" I didn't answer. She stepped closer. "I hope you realize you're ruining everything. Mark gave up his job in Columbus to move here. We took care of you. And now you're just giving it all away to Rachel." Still, I said nothing. She slammed her hand on the table. "Say something," she snapped. "Don't just sit there looking pathetic." I reached over, slowly, and pressed the button on my phone. The screen lit up. I had recorded everything. Danny stared at it. "You serious?" I nodded. She turned pale. Didn't say another word. Just walked out the front door. Rachel changed the locks that night. 3 days later, I got a call from Children's Services. Someone had reported that I was being abused. They said there were allegations of financial manipulation and elder mistreatment by a relative. The woman on the phone sounded apologetic. "We have to do a wellness check," she said. "It's procedure." Rachel was furious. "She's trying to paint me as the problem," she said. I told the caseworker everything. I showed them the letter, the voicemail Danny left last year where she called me a walking time bomb, and even the video from the house camera showing her entering without permission. They closed the case the next day. Said it was clearly false. But it rattled me. Mark called again the week after that. He didn't apologize. He didn't even sound upset. He just asked, "Is there any way we can work this out?" I let the silence stretch. Then I said, "You watched her do it. You let her." "I didn't know what to do," he said. "You were always stronger than me. You still are." I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Then he said, "We could split it. Half for me, half for Rachel. That's fair, right?" And that's when I hung up. He didn't call back. I found out from Tom that Mark and Danny tried to file a challenge against the new will anyway. They were denied. The judge reviewed the paperwork, read the medical letters, and ruled there was no cause. But it didn't stop them from trying. It didn't stop them from sending more letters, more threats, more silence from Mark when it mattered most. Rachel stayed strong through it all. But I could see the hurt in her eyes every time another envelope came. "They're just scared," she said. Scared they lost control. One night, as we sat in the living room watching the old newsreels I loved, Rachel turned to me. "I can move out if you want peace," she said. "I don't want to drag this on for you." I reached over and grabbed her hand. "You are my peace." She didn't cry, but she squeezed my hand back and nodded. She understood. But that wasn't the last twist. Because 1 week later, I got another knock on the door. This time, it wasn't Danny. It was a man in a suit holding a legal brief. And behind him was a real estate agent. The man in the suit looked official. Clean shave, gray tie, firm voice. "Mr. Hallberg?" he asked. I nodded. He held up a folder and handed it to me. "You've been served. There's an attempt to partition the property. Mark Hallberg is claiming joint ownership based on the previous deed update from 2022. He's requested the house be sold and the profits split." My heart beat heavy in my chest. Behind him, the real estate agent shifted awkwardly. "I didn't know the house was occupied," she said. "I just got an address and a request to walk the property." Rachel came up behind me, holding her phone. "What's going on?" she asked. I handed her the papers. Her face changed the moment she read the header. "He's trying to force a sale," she said. "He thinks that will scare you into giving up." The lawyer tilted his head. "I'm just the messenger. You'll need to respond through your attorney. Legally, it'll go to court if it's not resolved." Rachel didn't say a word. She just closed the door slowly and locked it behind them. We called Tom again. He sounded disgusted but not surprised. "Partition actions are sneaky," he said. "They're usually used in cases where co-owners can't agree, divorces, inherited properties. But it can be fought, especially if we show Mark added to the deed only as a technicality with no financial investment or intent to co-own." Rachel handed him bank records, notes, even an old voicemail from Mark saying, "It's just for when you're gone, Dad." Tom shook his head. "They're not getting this house, but they're going to keep trying." A few days later, the lawn care guy didn't show. Then Rachel noticed someone had keyed her car. Deep scratches down both sides. No cameras caught it. That night, someone left a plastic sign staked into our yard. "Homes for sale. Nice neighborhood. Empty soon?" I stood on the porch and stared at it until Rachel came out and ripped it from the grass. "This is war," she muttered. The court date for the partition was set for mid-October. A full hearing. Tom prepared our case. Rachel helped. I practiced my words every day, reading short lines aloud, rehearsing what I'd say if I had to testify. I didn't want to go, but I was ready. Then came the twist I never saw coming. Rachel got a phone call from her manager at the hospital. There had been a complaint. Someone had called claiming she stole meds, lied on her resume, and was living with an unstable family member. It was all false. But the hospital had to open a file on it. She was placed on administrative review, pending the investigation. She lost her income. "I can't prove it was them," she said to me that night, sitting at the kitchen table with a cold cup of coffee in her hand. But who else would do this now? Couldn't even find words. Just put my hand over hers again. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just sat there, staring at nothing, the way I used to after Marlene died. Tom told us to hold steady. "It's a pattern," he said. "They're trying to break you." But the stress started getting to me. My blood pressure rose. My hands shook more. My therapy progress stalled. I stopped sleeping. Rachel saw it. So she made a call to a local news station. That's where the next twist started. The reporter who came out was young, mid-30s maybe, but she listened. She sat with me for 2 hours while Rachel explained the situation, showed her the letters, the false complaint, the scratches on the car, the court documents. Then I spoke. Slowly, carefully, but clearly enough. "I loved my son," I said. "Still do. But he's lost. I don't know who he is now. But I know what he's after. And he can't have it." The story aired 2 days later on Channel 5. Local veteran targeted in family estate battle, the headline read. My face was on the screen, slow-motion footage of me watering the flowers Marlene planted 20 years ago. Rachel was beside me. The reaction was fast. The station got flooded with emails. People sent messages of support. Strangers offered legal help. One woman from Cincinnati offered Rachel a new nursing job on the spot. Said she'd been through something similar with her own father. But it wasn't just support that came next. Because the moment that story aired, Mark called me again. This time he was furious. "You humiliated us," he shouted through the phone. "On TV? Really? You think this helps you?" I waited until he stopped. Then I said, slow but clear, "You did this." He cursed, loud, said he was done playing nice, said I'd regret turning my back on family. I hung up. My hand didn't shake this time. But later that night, Rachel got a message that made her go pale. It was from a blocked number. A video of her walking into the house with groceries. A voice in the background said, "She looks good for a thief." We called the police. The file got reopened. This time, the detective took it seriously. Said, "This isn't just harassment anymore." The detective who reopened the case, Officer Lang, didn't say much at first. But he came by twice in 1 week. Took copies of the letters. Took the scratched car photos. Took the USB drive with the video. Danny didn't know I recorded the day she broke into the house and shouted in my face. "This isn't small anymore," he said. "It's organized harassment. And if your son's involved, we'll find out." Rachel handed him the video from the security camera. The one Danny didn't know about that showed her pulling the plastic for sale sign from the back of her own car and staking it in the yard. Lang nodded. "That'll do." While the investigation moved quietly, the court date for the partition case arrived. Rachel wheeled me in. I can walk, but only short distances now. Mark sat on the other side of the courtroom. Danny beside him, looking smug in a navy blue pantsuit like she was showing up for a job interview. Their lawyer was sharp-tongued and smug too. He argued that Mark had been added to the deed as a co-owner, not as a beneficiary. "He has legal standing," the lawyer said. "He sacrificed to move in and help his father. He deserves his share." Tom stood up next. "Mr. Hallberg added his son to the deed for estate planning reasons under legal advice. There is zero financial investment from Mark, and we have written, dated, and recorded evidence that this was not intended to grant co-ownership." He paused. "Furthermore, we have reason to believe this partition request is part of an ongoing campaign of harassment against Mr. Hallberg and his caregiver, Rachel Tolland, by Mark and his wife." The judge raised his eyebrows. "Elaborate." Tom turned to me. I stood up, hands shaking a bit, but steady enough. "I trusted my son," I said slowly. "He watched while his wife mocked me. Told our kids I was broken. I heard her say they'd get the house when I died. Then they tried to push me out. Lie. Threaten. Hurt Rachel's job." The courtroom was silent. Then Tom played the video, Danny mocking me in the kitchen, laughing about my death. He played the audio recording of her shouting, "You're going to rot in this house alone." He handed over police reports, false abuse complaints, photos of Rachel's car keyed, and the video of the for sale sign being staked. The judge said one word, "Enough." Mark didn't even look at me. Danny looked like she wanted to scream. The judge ruled the partition case was denied, with prejudice. Then he added this, "Given the evidence presented, I'm ordering a no-contact order. Mr. Mark Hallberg and Mrs. Danielle Hallberg are prohibited from approaching Mr. Hallberg's residence or caregiver for the next 5 years. Any further attempt to claim this property will result in criminal contempt charges." 2 weeks later, Officer Lang called. They'd found more. Turns out Danny had been harassing Rachel's workplace using a burner phone. She'd even spoofed her number once to impersonate an HR director trying to file an anonymous complaint. It backfired. Rachel's hospital press charges. Identity fraud. Defamation. Misuse of electronic communication. She was arrested in front of her apartment. Mark had to bail her out. Rachel got her job back with full back pay. And a promotion. Her manager told her anyone who protects family like that belongs in charge. Then came the final hit. I signed the newest will on a quiet Sunday morning. Tom was there. Rachel was there. We added a codicil: if Rachel continues to provide care through the end of my life, she receives not just the house, but a $100,000 savings account I'd kept aside for family emergencies. She tried to say no. I didn't let her. I'm not broken, I told her. Just slower now. But I see clearly. Months passed. The house grew peaceful again. I had good days, bad days, but Rachel was always there. Sometimes the grandkids would write letters. Josh sent me a card. Said he was sorry. Said he missed me. Said Danny told them not to call. I wrote back. I always want to hear from you. You are not her. Last week, I got a letter from Mark. No threats. No demands. Just a short note. I lost everything. Danny's been charged with felony fraud. We're separated. I don't know how to fix it. I don't expect forgiveness. But I needed to say you were right. And I was weak. I sat with that letter for a long time. Then I tore it in half. I'm not angry anymore. But I remember. And the house? It's still mine. Still full of Marlene's flowers. Still full of peace. And for the first time in years, it feels like home again.